Right now, it's Badger Game Day in Madison. Our crew is live at Camp Randall with a preview of our special coverage.
And Madison has a new police chief. We sit down with John Patterson for a one-on-one.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having us in on this Thursday, T-minus 4 hours to kick off at Camp Randall Stadium.
Yeah, in case you missed the memo, it is Badgers' first game of the football season, and News 3 Now has special coverage throughout our newscasts and beyond ahead of the game.
Evening anchor Eric Franke and sports director Andrew Bansta. Look at you two live on the field at Camp Randall Stadium with a preview of our Badger Game Day special. That's coming up in a little bit.
Hey guys, what's up down there?
Can't hear program. Susan and Brady, we are live. It is time for some football at Camp Randall Stadium. We're a few hours from kickoff as the Miami of Ohio University Redhawks are here. It's a great school, Oxford, Ohio, beautiful campus, lots of elite alums from that school. But maybe the Badger fans aren't quite, the students, some of the younger ones may not be as familiar with Miami of Ohio.
Exactly. You know, Eric, I was at Chipotle last night and I heard two, young students saying to each other, who does Wisconsin play tomorrow? One said, I think it's Ohio, and the other said, no, I'm certain that it's Miami. And it turns out both were right. Miami of Ohio, as you said, a really well-known and respected institution. And in fact, a lot of people confuse the two Miamis. The one in Florida was founded more than a century after the one in Ohio. So you could say that the real University of Miami is the one that's here in town tonight.
Miami University. They don't like to be called Miami of Ohio. They think they're just Miami. Former Speaker of the House with Wisconsin ties Paul Ryan went there, Ben Roethlisberger. They've had a long list of illustrious alums, and they're also a good football team. They're from the Mid-American Conference. They have a rich history, actually, in football. They're known as the cradle of coaches. A lot of legendary coaches like Woody Hayes, Bo Schembechler, Ara Parseghian, to name a few, have been coaches there. That's why they're the cradle of coaches.
And, the more I started thinking about it, the more I thought, as interesting as the history is to us and to all of you, I don't think the guys in the locker room care about any of that. They just want to get it going in week one. And coming up at 6:30 with our Wisconsin Game Day special, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. These last 2 years, the first 2 years of Luke Fickell's tenure here at Wisconsin have not been up to the standard for this program. And year 3, they say that will be a big change. We'll break down all of that at 6:30. Really excited for that show.
Yeah, Wisconsin Game Day is our special tonight. Stay with us, and then Andrew and I will stay afterwards on our social media platform, all of our social media platforms, and Channel 3000 Plus as well, because we've got a lot to talk about, a lot to cover, everything from the flavor around the game to the actual X's and O's. We're going to be covering it all. I also want to mention our old friend Matt LePay will be joining us at 5 o'clock. We'll be talking to him about what's coming up tonight, what we can expect from the Badgers this year. One thing we can't expect tonight, though, is absolutely impeccable weather. It's almost got a fall-like feel as we bring Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington in. We've been talking about it all week. This is going to be a gorgeous night.
It's going to be beautiful. We were a little nervous over the past couple days with that rain that some areas had this morning. Would it stick around through the game? And we've been saying first for days that rain would end. Again, we got a beautiful evening. Just a couple of puffy cumulus clouds here above the stadium right now. Folks are tailgating on the other side of the gate over there. The temperatures right now will be in the 70s, dipping down to right around 67. By the time we get to kickoff, we'll be in the mid-60s here as part of that Badger football forecast. And at the end of the game, a bit on the chilly side. That fall-like feel will dip down into the 50s. So you may want to come here with a red short sleeve shirt. You might want to bring that red light jacket as well overnight tonight as those temperatures dip on down. The rest of southern Wisconsin outside of Dane County, 73, 74, 75. That's just a couple degrees below normal. Feeling a little bit of the breeze here behind me makes for quite pleasant conditions across all of southern Wisconsin. And we are planning, not just here in Madison, a beautiful evening across all of southern Wisconsin. Temperatures getting down close to 50 overnight. But a little bit, Blaze is going to give you that full first one weather forecast, that complete weather forecast, which is going to include a pretty nice Labor Day as well. Back to you folks in the studio. Susan, Brady?
All right, Alex, thank you so much. So exciting to have Badger football back. And if you live in or around Camp Randall or you're driving to campus tonight, the celebration is underway. The tailgaters are everywhere, so prepare for some delays.
Good luck, everyone.
Yes.
Here's what you need to know. Breeze Terrace, Monroe Street, and North Randall will all be closed. After the game, access near Regent Street will be restricted. There will be no parking on West Monroe, West Regent, or East Johnson Street. You can find all of the specific information about traffic during the game on channel3000.com. And we're bringing you continuing coverage in the retrial of Devontae Gafford, one of the men accused in the killing of 20-year-old Devon Grant at the Harmony Apartments in 2023.
Our Maddie Heimsch has been in the courtroom all week, and she brings us the latest from today's testimony.
More crime scene logistics shared in the courtroom today as the prosecuting attorney continues to lay out the details of the shooting to the jury. That's as guns and shell casings recovered from the scene are shown and moved into evidence.
That is in the general area where Gafford is moving back and forth during this shootout.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Gafford does exit the vehicle at some point and flee on foot.
Okay. And he's being shot at as he's running, correct?
Again, I would have to, yes, was firing in that direction.
You hear there the defense attorney asking the detective witness about return fire. In Gafford's 2024 trial that the judge declared a mistrial, he argued self-defense, making the timing of gunfire both from Gafford and toward him on that day a pivotal detail in the case. The defense attorney tells me Gafford himself is expected to take the stand Friday morning. Reporting in downtown Madison, I'm Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Maddie. Madison police are investigating an armed robbery at a grocery store on Wednesday. Police responded to the pick and save on Shopco Drive just before 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Officers spoke with a cashier who said a man demanded money from the register and implied he had a gun. Officers checked the area and did not find the suspect. Police are asking anyone with information about the robbery to contact the Madison Area Crime Stoppers. That number is 608-266-6014. You can also submit a tip online at p3tips.com.
Vice President J.D. Vance visited Wisconsin today as part of a broader tour of swing states.
What he said about the president's spending bill while he was there and how that bill impacts Wisconsin.
Plus, the weekend weather is looking nice, but our First Warn weather team says we could see some storms early next week. Blaze Keller is here to tell us when to expect those.
Plus, our interview with the new chief of police in Madison, John Patterson. We'll ask him about his priorities when Live at 4 is back. It's official. Madison has a new police chief. The city's Board of Police and Fire Commissioners voted unanimously to select acting chief John Patterson to take on the role.
Patterson has served with the Madison Police Department for 27 years. He will now oversee more than 500 sworn officers. Earlier today, we talked with Chief Patterson about his promotion and his priorities. Chief Patterson, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wow, 27 years ago, you started with the Madison Police Department as a traffic officer.
Patrol officer.
A patrol officer. You've risen through the ranks, and now you were the unanimous choice by the police and fire commissioners for this position. How does it feel?
It's a little overwhelming, to be honest. I feel so humbled and honored by this decision, and I'm thrilled. I'm just absolutely thrilled that I can move from acting and keep this great thing going. So
yeah, and hopefully you get a little time to celebrate. But we're going to start right away with this question.
All right, fire away.
Do you know what your top priorities for the city are under your tenure in this job?
Oh, that's a good first question. So when we started this year, the organization and I think, committed ourselves to focusing on our people, our culture, and our service to the community. We really needed to focus on providing some stability to both the community and the police department, and bring some elements of predictability back. I think we talked about that the last time we met. But as I've reflected on this year, I think there's really nothing more important for the organization and for me as the new chief to continue focusing on than investing in our people, ensuring that our culture is always reflected in everything we do, and then staying committed to our service delivery model to the community. A couple years ago, the community really dedicated themselves to providing valuable input in helping us, create our strategic plan. And I think for us, 2 years into it of a 5-year strategic plan. To change course now would be a big mistake. So we're going to stay committed.
There are a lot of advantages to having someone in your role who has tenure in the community, and you've gotten a lot of support for your promotion as chief across the board. Yeah, but Madison has some serious issues to tackle, especially when it comes to things like racial disparities. The police department's own police data from last year shows there was a disproportionate number of black residents arrested versus other races. How do you plan to address those disparities?
Well, I think I bring a level of familiarity with the problem that, frankly, an outside hire wouldn't have the luxury of. I personally have worked a lot over the last decade or so around our racial disparities. The Community Restorative Court started off as a pilot in the South District when I was a captain in that district. We worked really hard to grow the scope to include all 6 districts now within the city, and then eventually it branched off into other communities. So Sun Prairie, Fitchburg, Verona, they all are participants. Efforts like that have helped us reduce the total number of arrests, but unfortunately, you're right, the disparities have persisted. And so we really need to start, I think, being more surgical with our data and looking for areas where we can make immediate improvements. And one of them, I think, is repeat arrests. There's a measurable number of adults and juveniles from year to year. Sometimes it's as high as 15 to 20% of individuals who are arrested more than one time in a given year. And to me, that just screams that there are needs being unmet in the community. We need to start looking more intently at those individual cases and figuring out how we can lead the conversations around better connecting people to services that exist here in Dane County.
We'll have more from our one-on-one with Chief Patterson later on in the show, but for now, we're heading to La Crosse.
That is where Vice President J.D. Vance stopped this afternoon to tout President Trump's spending bill. Our sister station WKBT was there. Reporter Allison Fergott tells us what he said.
Vice President Vance focused his speech on how the One Big Beautiful Bill will help domestic manufacturers and American families. During his stop at La Crosse's Mid-City Steel, Vance focused on how the bill's tax policies benefit workers and corporations alike, saying the legislation makes it easier for facilities to be built in the U.S. He says the measure puts America first and builds a strong foundation for decades to come.
The American future that our children rely on is going to be built by and for American workers.
He also argued the legislation will build safer communities, saying the bill includes more than $100 billion for law enforcement to crack down on drug trafficking. The vice president also made stops in Georgia and Pennsylvania to promote the bill. Reporting in La Crosse, Allison Fergott, News 3 Now.
Allison, thank you. And ahead of Vice President Vance's visit, Governor Evers' office released a report on the impact the president's bill will have on Wisconsin.
The Department of Health Services found more than 270,000 Wisconsinites will lose their health insurance, in addition to putting tens of thousands of Wisconsinites' benefits at risk. The law's work requirements also will cost taxpayers.
Starting in 2027, Wisconsinites will have to cover the cost of employment training. For the Medicaid work requirements alone, that will cost about $72 million a year. The bill also shifts 25% of SNAP administrative costs to the states, totaling about $44 million a year. These numbers just scratch the surface of what the department says the state can expect.
It is a big game day here in Madison, and we have a crew out at Camp Randall covering it. But back here in the studio, Blaze is looking at that wonderful football weather, Blaze.
And it is going to be a perfect night for football weather. It's Friday night football weather on Thursday night, because Friday night it's going to be a little bit more wet. We're going to be dealing with maybe some isolated showers, not only during the daytime hours on Friday, but into the evening through at least the start of Saturday. But overall, the Labor Day weekend is looking very pleasant. So let's take a look at what Friday has in store for central and southern Wisconsin. Again, that chance for an isolated shower, maybe a thunderstorm or two, especially further south and west, because you're more on the edge of an exiting high pressure system. The environment's just a little bit better for those showers to move on through. Closer to Lake Michigan, probably going to stay more dry, mostly clear or mostly sunny to partly sunny conditions. Temperatures certainly a little bit cooler than where they should be for for this time of year, in the upper 60s to low 70s, and we should be flirting with about 80 degrees still. Let's walk future track into Friday. So here are those showers coming out of parts of southeastern Minnesota, northwestern Wisconsin, as we go into the late morning hours to at least the early evening hours. Again, further to the south and west, it's going to be a little bit of a better environment for these showers. And then we'll keep that chance for rain overnight into Saturday as well. But those rain chances on Saturday will wrap up, and then we'll be left with sunny conditions, not only Sunday, but into your Labor Day as well. Enjoy the quiet conditions, because starting Tuesday night into Wednesday, possibly lasting into Thursday of next week, confidence is growing that there's going to be a large system moving through parts of Canada, and its cold front is going to extend its way southwards. And that's going to bring us a better chance for not only showers and maybe a few thunderstorms, but it is going to pull down some very cold air, but it's not going to stick around for terribly long. So that is some good news, but this is a dynamic system. This is one of the larger systems, and it's still going to be impacting us as we go into Thursday night and then possibly into the start of that following Friday. We'll talk about the temperatures that it will bring down later on in Live at 4. We're focusing on the rain right now, and we see a little bit more green and some darker greens popping up. So this is taking into account some of that rain towards the end of these 7 days, but we're looking at probably a half an inch or less. So we're not seeing any widespread heavy rainfall, which is certainly some good news because we are still drying out from those heavy rains over these last couple of weekends. Low 70s on Saturday as well as on Sunday. Again, mostly to partly sunny, light winds, maybe some morning fog on Saturday, but Sunday is going to be pleasant, and your Labor Day is going to be pleasant as well. There was a look at your 7 and 10 day forecast. We're going to go from the low 70s on Wednesday to maybe the upper 50s to low 60s Thursday, and then we'll hang out in those low to mid 60s to round out next week and go into that first weekend of September.
All right, thank you, Blaze. Coming up, the president seeks to keep the National Guard in D.C. longer than expected.
We'll tell you how much their stay is going to cost taxpayers when Live at 4 is back.
We're learning more about Wednesday's school shooting in Minneapolis. We have footage from a parent and a warning. Some may find this disturbing. The video shows panicked children running out of the chapel moments after the shooter opened fire during morning mass. Police say in addition to the 2 children killed, 18 people are hurt. The shooter then died by suicide. After looking at hundreds of pieces of evidence, police there provided an update today.
And very disturbing writings that demonstrate hatred towards many different individuals and different groups of people. And he fantasized about the plans of other mass shooters. Unfortunately, again, this has become all too common in our society.
Those writings included disturbing messages against Black, Jewish, and Hispanic people, in addition to anti-Israel and anti-Trump messages. News 3 now has also confirmed the shooter wrote the last name of the Abundant Life Christian school shooter on one of their weapons. The FBI says it's investigating the shooting as a domestic terrorist attack and a potential hate crime against Catholics.
We're learning how much President Trump's D.C. crime crackdown is costing taxpayers. The director of studies at the Center for New American Security says the deployment of the National Guard comes to at least $1 million a day. The figure takes into account the pay for the more than 2,200 troops and the costs for hotel, travel, food, and other needs. The Pentagon and the National Guard have not provided their own estimates of the cost to taxpayers.
After less than a month since the Senate confirmed her, the Trump administration is ousting CDC Director Susan Menarez. At least 3 other top CDC officials publicly resigned after the announcement, and this morning they were escorted out of the agency's building. Menarez's attorneys accuse HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. of weaponizing public health. The shakeup comes as the FDA moved to limit who can get the COVID vaccine.
Overnight, Russia launched its second largest aerial attack since invading Ukraine on the country's capital of Kyiv. Officials say the attack killed at least 19 people, including 4 children. And the strikes also hit buildings belonging to the European Union and the British Council. In response, both the EU and the UK summoned top Russian diplomats to their capitals. Russia's defense ministry claims it struck military-industrial complex enterprises.
On Wall Street, stocks moved further into record territory. The Dow ended the day up 72 points. The Nasdaq is up 115. The S&P 500 is up 20.
The Federal Aviation Administration says it's getting ready for record numbers of Labor Day travelers at the nation's airports. The agency thinks today and tomorrow will be the busiest days of the long weekend. Last year, the TSA screened more than 17 million passengers to break the previous record. If you're traveling by car, AAA says the worst top travel time will be Friday between noon and 8 p.m. In addition to Monday, as everybody has to get home between 1 and 4 in the afternoon. Okay, let's see. Just over 3.5 hours now until kickoff. When we come back, we'll head back out live to Camp Randall ahead of the Badgers' first home game.
A lot of people traveling to Camp Randall.
Yes.
Eric Franke and Andrew Banstra will preview our special show, and Alex will have the forecast for tonight when Live at 4 continues.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Good afternoon and welcome to Live at 4. It's the first Badger game of the season. I'm having FOMO.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to be out there.
Yeah, I agree. It's Thursday, but it's Friday. Feels like Friday Night Lights tonight. Let's head outside. The weather could not be better for the home opener. The weather words today, fantastic football weather.
You know, maybe if we race right after the show, we can get there. Well, it is the Badgers' first game of the football season, and News 3 Now has special coverage throughout our newscasts and beyond ahead of the game.
The Lucky Ducks on the staff, Eric Franke and sports director Andrew Banstra have the best seat in the house. Look at that on the field. And they join us now live with a preview of Badger Game Day. This is so exciting, guys.
We are just about 3.5 hours now from kickoff. Badgers in Miami, Ohio, here tonight, kicking off the 2025 campaign at Camp Randall Stadium. More on that in a moment. We seldom would have to say that when we're on a Badger opening kickoff night, but there's some other big football news right now in Wisconsin.
Incredibly breaking, huge news. Yesterday, Eric, I told you off camera, I think I'm ready to bang my head through a wall for this opener. I might just go full-on Kool-Aid man with this new news. The Packers have traded for one of the best players in the entire NFL, the Cowboys linebacker, now former Cowboys linebacker, Micah Parsons. The full trade reportedly is 2 first-round picks from the Packers, in addition to their longtime defensive tackle, Kenny Clark, will be headed to Dallas, and in return, the Packers get a generational talent at linebacker in Micah Parsons. You could not imagine a bigger move happening for Green Bay, and honestly, a more stunning one too. Who would have ever thought that their general manager, Brian Gutekunst, would do something like this?
And the new contract he signs makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. They give up Kenny Clark, who I love Kenny Clark, but Micah Parsons, as you said, is generational. But we'll have more on that tonight in all of our newscasts. Obviously, huge news there. But the big story in Madison is this football game kicking off this campaign, the 2025 season. Luke Fickell's third. These players, some of them new through the portal, but a lot of them have been around since last year and have been thinking about they cannot wait to get back on the field to prove they're worthy of traditional Badger football.
Absolutely. You know, last year certainly was not up to their standard, and having to sit in that awful kind of gutty feeling for 9 months is something that nobody wants to do. And tonight, as the players told me, they're excited to go out and hit somebody that isn't wearing the same color jersey as them. And what a night and what a way to do it, playing under the lights at Camp Randall. Can you imagine a better atmosphere? One of the most electric atmospheres in all of sports in this country is happening right here tonight at Camp Randall. I could continue trying to describe it, but nobody has a better perspective on just how crazy tonight will be than senior cornerback Ricardo Hallman.
The environment's incredible. Every night game I've been a part of, the environment's always been incredible. So I'm super excited. I'm glad we get the first one to be a night game, and You know, I'm pretty sure you guys heard about the light show and the different things they're adding to. So it's going to be definitely a fun and electric environment. I can't wait to get going.
Truly going to be an exciting night here and a way for the Badgers to kick off a new culture that they say is happening within that locker room. We're going to talk about that and so much more. We're just about 3 hours out, or make that 2 hours out, from our Wisconsin Game Day special, where we're going to have so much to break down: that hard schedule, year 3 of Luke Fickell, and of course, our predictions on what is going to happen in tonight's game.
We've even got our whole staff in on these predictions, so we are looking forward to that. We got a big show coming. We're also going to continue our preview on News 3 Now at 5. The voice of the Badgers. I think I added up his years. He won't like me to say this, but I think this is year 33 for Matt LePay as the voice of the Badgers. He's going to join us at 5 and more coverage at 6 as well. One thing is certain, we got a beautiful night for football. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington join us now with the forecast.
Yeah, Susan, you said it perfectly. Fantastic football weather, and my prediction for the weather, fantastic football weather as we carry forth through the evening. Folks are tailgating on the other side of the gate over there with temperatures right now in the 70s. As we head towards kickoff, temperatures slipping into the 60s, and by the end of the game, we'll be down into the 50s. So you're going to want to bring that light red t-shirt and then that light red jacket for the game. And if you want to sport some red shades like I am for the Badgers, you could do that too. Temperatures, again, beautiful overnight tonight. And as we move and take a peek at the rest of southern Wisconsin, it can't be beat for the end of August. We could be in the upper 80s, lower 90s, high humidity, and there's no humidity really to speak of out here, with a temperature of 73 right now in Madison, 75 in Middleton, 76. There's a warm spot right now on Highway 14 in Cross Plains. And the rest of southern Wisconsin, a touch warmer, like I said last night, to the west out towards the Mississippi River, because the sun came out a little bit earlier after those showers that we had this morning that are all out of the area. Plenty of sun out here at Camp Randall right now, and plenty of sun and clear skies as we go all the way through our evening, with our temperatures eventually dipping down to right around 50. Blaze will have that full Labor Day forecast coming up, and Andrew, myself, Eric, Alex, live from Camp Randall. Back to folks in the studio. Wish you could be down here.
So do we. Thank you, guys. Well, we have some breaking news today. One of the suspects in an alleged poison plot has pleaded not guilty, so a trial date will be set. Andrea Whitaker had her initial appearance in Rock County today, and there she's charged with attempted first-degree intentional homicide, 1 count of aggravated battery, 1 count of recklessly endangering safety, and 1 count of stalking. Court records allege Whitaker and her boyfriend, Paul Van Dyne, who is facing the same charges in Rock County, stalked and tried to multiple times to kill women he previously went on dates with. The couple is accused of using thallium, cyanide, hydrogen sulfide, and Abrin to do so. Both are facing even more charges in Dane County.
We're learning more today about what led to the arrest of a Madison priest in Clintonville.
Armand Rahman has the latest from investigators in court documents. Armand?
Brady and Susan, the 14-year-old girl Andrew Showers was allegedly caught trying to meet was not even real, but rather a police officer posing as one on the social media site Reddit. And according to court documents, a Clintonville police sergeant went undercover online as a 14-year-old girl named Abby. The sergeant used images of another officer edited to look 14 and logged onto a Reddit page used for soliciting and discussing sexual acts in the Fox Valley area. Showers allegedly sent a private message saying he was a 36-year-old male, and the sergeant replied indicating Abby was 14 years old. Investigators say Showers became increasingly sexually explicit in ongoing conversations, including asking Abby about her favorite sexual positions and previous experiences with older men. He then coordinated meeting the fictional Abby at a hotel in Clintonville, where police arrested him. Now, even though the Diocese of Madison originally said there were no other allegations of sexual misconduct against Showers, they did reveal yesterday that a parent did report him to police in 2021 over concerns about questions he asked a child during confession. Hear how the diocese is responding to that tonight at 5.
Thank you, Armand. Well, later on Live at 4, tonight's weather looks quite good for the Badger game, but is the same true for Labor Day? Blaze Keller shows us what we can expect for the long holiday weekend.
But first, we'll have part 2 of our one-on-one discussion with the new Madison Police Chief, John Patterson.
Welcome back. Madison has a new police chief.
Acting Chief John Patterson will take on the role in an official capacity. Earlier on Live at 4, we showed you part 1 of our one-on-one with Chief Patterson, and now we continue our conversation.
And of course, news of your promotion comes as we are following news in Minnesota, the school shooting over there. A shooter killed 2 children and sent more than a dozen people to the hospital. We've seen an unfortunate connection here in Madison on one of their weapons. The name Rupnow was written on one of the guns. And of course, that was the name of the school shooter here at Abundant Life Christian School. What's your take on that connection?
Well, I mean, my first concern obviously was for the community here in Madison after obviously extending, my heartfelt sympathies out to Minnesota. But every time we see something like what happened yesterday, and certainly with a direct connection, I think we have to be aware that it's triggering trauma that occurred here, last December in our community, but also in our rank and file.
Every time we go through one of these tragedies, it renews the debate about having qualified law enforcement personnel inside of our public schools. And your predecessor, Chief Sean Barnes, who saw us through the ALCS tragedy, was a big advocate. He wanted the school board to bring back the funding for SROs, school resource officers. What is your position on that?
That's a good question. School safety is a complex issue, and I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all for every school. And if you look back on your own experiences, I was a public school kid. I mean, every school that I attended had a different community feel to it. And I can't say with a straight face that the need that I saw in high school, where there was an SRO at my high school, existed when I was in middle school or elementary school. Accepting that each school has that unique community, I think that has to be part of the decision process. And frankly, it has to really be led by our school district. And if that is something that they're interested in exploring, it's certainly something that I would support. But again, we have a great relationship with MMSD right now. We work hand in glove almost with the Office of School Safety. And so, we're doing great things, I think, right now as a team. In fact, we've got some training coming up with them later this year. Again, it's a complex answer. I'm not trying to dodge the yes or no question, but it's not as easy. And frankly, grabbing an SRO and throwing them in a school doesn't mean that your safety issues are solved in that particular school.
Chief Patterson, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Continued success. The Patterson era begins. Best of luck. No
sounds
pressure.
daunting.
No pressure. Best of luck to you.
Thank you so much. It was great to see you both again. Thank you.
And if you'd like to meet Chief Patterson, he'll be at the Badger Bash tonight at the Badger game, and he said he's looking forward to meeting as many community members as possible. Next on Live at 4, Blaze Keller takes a look at your game day and Labor Day weekend forecast.
And later, what's new to the menu at Camp Randall on the Badgers' first game day of the season.
It's game day, Badger fans. Here we go, and we're continuing to preview our special Badger Game Day show.
But some big football news broke in the middle of our show, and we're sending it back out to our crew, who is live for the reaction to the latest news. Guys?
It is football night in Wisconsin in more ways than one. We're getting ready for the Badger season opener to kick off against Miami of Ohio. Of course, 8 o'clock kickoff, and we got all kinds of coverage between now and then. But that is not the only big story of the day. The Packers also trying to steal some headlines, Andrew.
Yeah, absolutely. Their general manager, Brian Gutekunst, has been in the news lately, about this potential big trade. He was asked yesterday, does he think that one player can turn a team from good to a title contender? He said, no, I really don't. But I don't know if that was the whole truth. The Packers have made a blockbuster trade, giving away Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks per many sources, Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, you name it, in return for the biggest name in terms of a defender in the NFL today, Micah Parsons, the linebacker from the Dallas Cowboys, who immediately becomes, you would argue, the best Packer defender certainly since Charles Woodson. Clay Matthews in that mix, but he's almost in the Reggie White kind of realm. Not at a Reggie White level, but man, is this a huge move for the Packers that we would have never thought was going to happen.
No, nobody thought they would pull this off, and he immediately gets a 4-year deal. It makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL, so that should make him happy. If you were wondering, he's already tweeted out, "Go Pack, go!" So he's a happy camper coming to Green Bay, and of course the Wisconsin Badgers are also more focused on what's happening here tonight at Camp Randall. We'll have more on this game coming up shortly. At the top of the hour, just after 5 o'clock, the voice of the Badgers, Matt LePay, will be joining us to give us his always interesting perspective on the season ahead. Susan, Brady?
All right, thank you very much, guys. We'll check back in with you on our other shows on News 3 Now. Well, Susan and I are stuck here in the studio, but we get to hang out with Blaze Keller, who has a look at our first four and forecast.
Oh, right. Trying
Jump
to find
around,
the
Blaze,
silver linings. We are looking at a very pleasant Labor Day weekend. Some isolated showers across southwestern Wisconsin will be possible on Saturday, but we dry out for everybody, remaining partly to mostly sunny, not only through the rest of Saturday, but into Sunday and then further into your Labor Day Monday. Enjoy it, because things are going to change from about Tuesday night through maybe Friday of next week, all because of this system, which we talked about earlier in Live at 4. It is going to bring us rain, windy conditions, and it is going to pull down cooler air. And so I used a little tool that meteorologists have at their disposal called a high split model, which is just a very fancy way of saying, where is this air coming from? And I looked at 3 different layers: the jet stream, mid-levels, and then close to the surface, which is what these lines are here. And so some of this air is coming from around Greenland, the Arctic Circle, as well as out there in Russia. So this is truly Arctic air that will be moving on down as we go into Thursday. We're not going to get to freezing, but we will get a blast of, yet again, much cooler than normal air as we go into the second half of next week. It's probably going to be a little bit more rainy the second half of next week as well, windy, a little bit more cloud cover. So if you're not a fan of that, you definitely want to enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Again, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday looking very, very nice. Low to mid 70s from Saturday through Monday. Mid 70s on Tuesday, that big system that brings about that quick blast of cool air. We might not even get into the 60s by next Thursday. Overnight lows in the 40s. And then we'll hang out in those low to mid 60s to round out next week and go into that first weekend of September. So maybe with Labor Day being the unofficial end of summer, or when kids go back to school, maybe summer is coming to an end. We'll just have to see. But again, enjoy Labor Day weekend before that rain moves in by Wednesday.
Ooh, this is the place to be. We're taking a live look at Camp Randall, where the Badgers are going to play their first game of the season tonight against Miami of Ohio.
Kickoff is 8 p.m. and the Badgers roster is not the only thing that'll look a little different at Camp Randall this year.
Yeah, there's some changes to the concessions lineup. There's a carne asada taco with Chihuahua cheese seared into a tortilla, a beef bulgogi bowl, which is a Korean rice bowl, and you know what? You can also get that in a wrap. And there's Nona's meatballs, though that's just a giant Italian meatball on top of a bed of mashed potatoes.
Yes, please. Now we're all hungry. And
One of
again,
everything.
don't forget to tune into our special game day coverage. It all begins right after News 3 Now at 6 at 6:30.
So we have some football, we have some food, and some great weather.
Yeah.
I mean, we really couldn't, I think, ask for better weather. Yeah. It's perfect out there for not only the evening, but obviously for the Badgers taking on the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. 70s through the tailgating time frame, kickoff mid 60s, and then after the Badgers win, of course, upper 60s to mid 50s. Take a light jacket. That's truly all that you'll need. It's perfect.
For celebrating later.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Blaze. We'll be right back.
Well, tomorrow on Live at 4, Will Loper shows us what's new to streaming platforms over the weekend. And coming up on News 3 Now at 5, what we heard from the Vice President during his visit to La Crosse this afternoon. Thanks for watching Live at 4 today. We'll see you back here tomorrow. And you can always find us streaming 24/7 on our Channel 3000+. Go Badgers! Our game day coverage continues on News 3 Now at 5, which starts right now.